What's going on, guys? This is Thomas here. I'm sure, as you guys know, you've seen a few other videos on my channel. I am a coffee trader. I'm based in Brazil, and I like to show a little bit of my work, and want to keep this channel growing, and want to talk about a few things. And hopefully, periodic, I will be posting videos on YouTube about my opinions on certain things that happen in the industry, economics, business in general, about coffee and other agro products. This video in specific, I want to give an opinion of mine about the trucker strike that you may or may not know about. That's happening in Brazil right now. Today is Tuesday, May 29th. It's about the 8th or 9th day of the trucker strike in Brazil, I'm not sure. I did talk to a few people about it, a few of my clients and then some friends outside. And honestly, they've told me that they don't know nothing about it. Nothing, or close to nothing. So I wanted to give a little insight of what's happening, what's going on in politics in Brazil, and how is this affecting business in international business in general. Obviously, this is a bad thing. Now, about the trucker strike. The trucker strike. Why did it start? This started because of the constant raising in diesel prices that's been going on in Brazil over the last couple months, I would say, or you could even go on and so forth and say a year or two. Not just diesel prices, in just gasoline, diesel, ethanol prices in general. The Brazilian population was already not satisfied of what has been coming on. What's been going on for the current presidency of the Brazilian President Michel Temer, and it's just a general dissatisfaction. And then what happened is that truckers just decided to stop stop transporting products around Brazil, because the diesel prices were being thrown on against them, weekly, daily, and without notice, so without being prepared. So the big concept here was that, let's say when you want to close freight, you have a certain price, right? Let's say you quote beforehand, and let's say if your freight from point A to point B is $1,000. You have a set amount of cost on gas, on insurance, on the driver, how much is going to get paid, for the job. And what's been going on is that when a truck driver closes a quote, the company closes a business at a quote set A, at $1,000, in the middle of its transport, prices rise, prices risen of diesel. And could be something else, could be insurance, could be whatever. But in this case, it's diesel. So from point A to point B, before the guy finishes his job and before he receives, he's already making less money than what he had closed with his client. So that's been a big deal, especially in Brazil, where I don't have the numbers, but the main transport for everything in Brazil, coming into Brazil, going out of Brazil from point A to point B, is by trucks. There's a very weak train system. There's a very weak, ship, lake transport system in Brazil. It's very weak. Everything that's been done is by trucks, whether it's coffee, sugar, whether it's cocoa, there's soy, corn, anything, cattle, everything's done by trucks. Everything, literally everything. And this, just upset the truckers. And then at the end of the day, everybody decided, what, screw it, we're done. We're not gonna do anything. The government has to fix this. And this movement started, and since there's already a dissatisfaction with the government, the movement started. And it grew into a proportion that it's about the Brazilian population, not just the truckers. Why? Because the general dissatisfaction of the government, the general unhappiness of the recent impeachment of Dilma, and then the Vice President Temer came in, and nobody's happy with him because price of gas isn't up. Then there's other crazy laws that has been put approved and put into effect, and this became a movement for Brazil, and that's what everybody in Brazil, and they're using the WhatsApp, which is obviously a free instant messaging program that you put send audios, documents, videos, anything you want through it. And there's groups that you can have groups of 200 participants in it, and people have multiple groups, and people do chain videos and chain letters and chain messages, chain audios to kind of blow up the situation, to literally blow up the situation and reach all of Brazil as fast as possible. Trying to share, break fake news, because Globo is the biggest news media company in Brazil, and it's a huge fake news company, huge left-wing fake news company, and they don't share the right amount of information, and so they use that to empower themselves and try to get people to go on the streets and to be a part of the movement for Brazil. Since day one, there has been no gas in a lot of cities in Brazil, gasoline and gas stations, including mine, in where I live, the city where I live, Varginha, is done. There's no gas also for cooking gas, stove, to heat the stove and stuff like that. So it's all done. I mean, whoever has it, like me right now, we have to ration it a little bit until we see what happens. Milk, agro products like milk and food like for chicken and stuff like that have been all thrown out. There's been a lot of chicken that has not been fed for over a week because the food has not been getting to them, and things of that nature. Now there's a political aftermath that wants to happen. One military intervention, which is, not my opinion, not the best idea, because we have elections coming up in October. They want the now President Michel Temer to resign. They want him to resign. In retrospect, I think the best idea right now, if they want him to resign, is to anticipate elections. That would be, I guess, a decent idea for now, instead, because it's supposed to be in October. Doing a military intervention doesn't rub well against the rest of the world. Doesn't rub well with international business. I mean, it could. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is my opinion. It doesn't rub well because this shows that they asked for a military intervention. The military came, they took out the president, and they started running things. I guess I don't know until what extent. Now this could shy away investors. This will make the dollar more stronger against the real. This is actually dollar stronger against the real is good for exports, as we will receive more dollar into the country, but who will then was just at least maybe think that doing certain things in Brazil is a risk, might think that it's a bigger risk because now the military is involved. There's this, what happened to the government, legislative and judiciary. There's a what's it called, attached risk factor, maybe scared factor to people that maybe have not done business in Brazil yet. People that do business already in Brazil, they probably know how it works. They've been doing it for 30 years, 20 years. But the image in itself is not good. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, there's no military intervention at all. The truckers or the population will come into an agreement with something with the actual government, the current government right now, so that exports and imports and business and the economy itself can go back to flow, can go back to work, and can just take care of things, of current ideas, or that was proposed by the government. I had to to the population or to the truckers make an agreement and to resolve everything. They wanted to cut a few taxes until the end of the year that are charged on top of the diesel, which are PIS/COFINS and SIJ, a couple of federal taxes and some taxes for the actual diesel itself. They also wanted to suspend toll charges for trucks. I think that's an indeterminate amount of time. I don't have all the details yet. And there are a few other little tiny details, but this also startled another movement in Brazil of why, because the government complained that this can only be done if we do something else to charge other people and put the money somewhere else, because Brazil, it's going to cut X amount of billions of dollars for Brazil. And then the movement in itself is that Brazilians know that the politics have a huge, government funds and spending that us taxpayers pay to the government and pay to the politics, and just absurd. And this just kind of like had a ripple effect, that why do they not cut government funding for politics themselves? They cut number of delegates, benefits for politics, this kind of stuff, which the numbers are just absurd. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video that I made. I will be making more videos soon in a little bit more detail, let's say of a certain subject. But any feedback would be of great appreciation, and hopefully you enjoyed it. See you here next time.
I'll admit it. I thought about stepping to you like you could get it, but quickly I realized you were somebody